Welcome to Anita Das Podcasts. I'm really excited to welcome Einav Avni as this month's guest speaker. And the title of her talk is Healing Conversations About Anything Chronic. So welcome, Avni. I'll just give a short introduction. So Einav Avni is an accomplished energy healer and alignment coach, confidence and empowerment coach, and she specializes in the emotion code, body code, and belief code. And if you don't know what that is, she'll expand on that later. She focuses on helping people with chronic conditions to heal and alleviate their symptoms. Working with two groups of people suffering from chronic conditions, which includes cancer, and a second group for people that basically are feeling a bit stuck in where they are. And the common ground is fears and limiting beliefs, and how to get these groups into alignment with their purpose. And so getting people back into harmony, trust, alignment. So I'm going to now pass over to Avni and just ask her to tell us a bit about your background first. Thank you.
Hi, Anita. Thank you so much for having me here today. So yes, my name is Einav. Avni is actually my surname, but I do know that a lot of people think it is the first name. Either way, I will answer. So about background, I guess I was in IT for a long time. I was a user experience designer and connecting with people to see how I can help them make the systems better, more user-friendly, and so on. And then at some point, I realized that actually the connecting with the people was really what I wanted to do. And because of some also politics in the IT department, I decided that time was right to move on. And so I jumped ship and I moved into coaching. And I guess I'm going to fast forward a few years. I mean, in the training that I did, our teachers demonstrated about the mind-body connection and showed us. It was a demonstration of about 2 hours. And in that, my colleague who was suffering from neck pain for about 14 years, in 2 hours, the pain was completely gone just by understanding about the emotions and what was going on back then and what is going on now. And really just this conversation around the emotions, the pain was gone. And for me, I was mind blown by that. I was like, how come no one is talking about this? And so when I finished my training, I started having conversations with people on Facebook and so on, and saying, hey, basically, let's heal. And I was very enthusiastic about it. And I was so excited about this possibility of healing naturally and by bringing something that we all have available, which is really getting down into the emotions and changing our physical situations. But when I went onto these Facebook groups, I got people really angry really, really quickly. And people were saying things like, it took me ages to convince my doctors and my family that I was ill. And now you're talking about healing. I mean, So I understood two things. First of all, that I wasn't ready to deal with people's emotions in this way, and fears and negativity. And then I also understood that a lot of people can have their illnesses as part of their identity level. And as such, I realized that I really wasn't ready yet. So what I've done, I started, I called myself a confidence and empowerment coach. And I was working mainly with understanding fears and limitations. And this is really always and forever is the base of everything that I do.
That's really useful. And, I can really appreciate that when people experience, the profound effects of healing, it really gives them that kind of belief in the faith, in the power, of healing. And I've certainly experienced that, with regression therapy that I do, that the powerful link between, the different subtle bodies that have effect of the emotion on our physical body and also vice versa. So that's really interesting to hear that. So I noticed that you have two different websites, one on healing and one on coaching. Can you just explain a bit about the difference between the two and where people might feel they would gravitate to one or the other?
Yeah, that is a good question, actually, and one that I am, still asking myself. But when I started, I called myself Untangled Coaching, and that was because the initial conversations I was having with clients, I kept kind of saying, "We're going to untangle whatever was going on," and after some time, I was like, "Okay, I have to use this. It's clearly my name." So I was doing untangled coaching, and this was really, like I said, looking at confidence, looking at fears, looking at limitations, limiting beliefs, all of these different things, and it was wonderful. Actually, I did that for a very long time, but at the back of my mind, I remembered that I actually wanted to do the healing, and I was very curious about that. Then the universe sent me my first client that had chronic pain, or it was chronic pain, and his pain was levels 9, 10 out of 10 constantly. So he couldn't sit, he couldn't walk, he couldn't lie down, he couldn't do anything. He was so miserable. And at that time, I didn't have the healing, but we just sat down and we spoke for 2 hours. And at the end of the conversation, his pain level dropped by 20%, which was a unique thing because it hasn't happened for such a long time. And after a couple more conversations, his pain level dropped to, I don't know, 4 out of 10. And then a little bit later on, he's completely pain free at the moment.
Amazing.
And then I was like, okay, universe, you clearly telling me that I am ready to move on to the healing.
Hmm.
And at that time, that's when I came across Dr. Bradley Nelson and the emotion code. And because he was talking about the subconscious mind, that it knows, how we got to the places that we are at the moment, and it also knows how to reverse it. I was like, right, he's definitely talking my language. I was working with the subconscious mind all the time. So that's when I decided to take the healing modalities. And at that point, I realized that actually I wanted to move from untangled coaching to untangled healing and help people untangle their health situations. And now I actually do both, because in my approach, I do an hour of coaching and an hour of healing.
Hmm.
But I'm no longer just doing the coaching. So ideally, I guess one day I should merge these two websites together, because the approach is already merged. But it's just logistics really that is keeping me with the two websites.
So if clients come to book a session with you, they'll be booking both a healing and a coaching session. Is that right? Or
Well, I do give people the
the
choice.
option? Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
but from whichever website they come to, they do have crossovers, so they will be able to get to the booking from either of them, and be
Okay.
able to see all the information and testimonials from both of them and so on.
Okay. And can you give maybe just a brief idea of what clients can expect when they come to you for either the coaching or the healing session?
Yeah. So for me, if people ask me what I think is the best, I would really say that it's the combination between of the healing and the coaching. I don't like the word coaching. I think it really has bad rep at the moment. But the conversations are very deep, and what they do is, we have an hour of coaching. Still don't have a better name for it.
Hmm.
But in the conversations, we really find where people are operating from fears, limitations, compromises. And when I say that, I mean really where are they operating out of alignment? So it's very easy when people are doing people pleasing, or if they're perfectionists, or when they put everyone ahead of themselves. It's really easy to kind of get into this life and this rhythm and believe that you have no choice, and that believe that you have no powers, or that you're not good enough. And so we just keep going. We wish, or we dream about a life that is better and happier and more fulfilling, but we very often don't see how we can actually go ahead and do that. Now, for people who are not suffering from chronic conditions, for example, then this is really just that heaviness of, is this really what life is all about? I feel so stuck. I feel like I don't know I don't know how to move forward. A lot of the time, it's this realization that actually I know that I'm not where I want to be, but I have no idea how to change this because I've tried so many other things. And I know that if I'm going to try, I'm basically going to get back into exactly where I am right now. So people kind of tend to sit on this, unhappiness and feeling of stuckness, and not know what to do. And of course, that's when I come in. But when people are suffering from chronic conditions, then it's even more exaggerated or emphasized, because they are like, I'm not happy, I'm ill, or I'm suffering, and I can't. Where is my life? I don't even know when was the last time I got up in the morning and didn't suffer.
Mhm.
But if people just think that their pain or conditions are physical, then this is a wonderful place to start, because we can see actually that the physical body is a manifestation of the emotional body. So
Mhm.
we have the opportunity to go in and look at emotions, look at stress, look at all the places where they operate from fears and limitations, and all of that. And together, slowly, slowly, we find the empowerment, we find the harmony and alignment,
Mhm.
because I can help people see that actually I can help them see where they were operating from, believing that they have no choice. And all of a sudden, they can see the choices. They can see that they can do things differently, and that is already where the empowerment starts. And so, the sessions are, although they're very deep, they're also quite light, because people really appreciate the ability to to share something that they probably never spoke with anyone about, and they're in a very safe, non-judgmental space, so we can have really deep, honest conversation that is also very containing and very empowering.
Mhm.
So then there is that 1 hour of conversations, and then after that we move on to the healing, and we do use the emotion code, the body code, or the belief code, which basically means releasing trapped emotions or blockages from the energy field, helping people to feel better.
Mhm.
So my really my preference is the conversations and the healing. Sometimes people just want the healing, sometimes they just want the conversation, but for me, the combination is really the gem here, because it's not only that you get the tools to look differently at your life, and everything that you kind of, everything that led you to where you are right now, but also we can start releasing things, and you are going to feel differently about everything.
Mhm.
Very powerful.
Sounds amazing. So the for the healing sessions, are you using a combination of the emotion, body, and belief codes as what, depending on what the client needs, or were you focusing on one or the other?
That depends very much on what the client comes in with.
Mhm.
So at the beginning of every session, of every healing session, I ask what is it that we should work on, and people maybe give me 3 or 4 different things that are currently bothering them the most, and that can be things that are physical, or mental, emotional, or spiritual. And that will also help to decide which of the modalities we are using. Sometimes people want to release their heart wall, which is a very profound, very quick way to actually feel better. So I'll just explain about the heart wall, which is the subconscious mind way of saying, I need to protect you because you're too fragile, and I can't let you roam around the world, with this much, you know, this fragility, really.
Mhm.
And so what the subconscious mind does, it grabs trapped emotions from around the body and builds a wall around the heart. Now, the good news is that now you have some distance between yourself and the events that you're going through. But on the other hand, you're now living from behind a wall. So maybe relationships are really difficult to get through, or maybe you feel lonely, or that everything is dark, no energy, like feeling like an outsider. Anything that you would actually feel if you were living from behind the wall. So when I connect with the people and I release these heart wall emotions, we're really breaking the wall. So we are releasing one layer after the next, and people feel light. They feel like energy that they haven't felt in a very long time. They feel more connected. They feel seen. All of these things, all of a sudden, it's out there. And the thing that people say all the time, and it's really funny because they use the same kind of words, and they say, things still happen, but I don't care about them in the same way. So people can let go of these attachments to how they would previously respond to something, and that is very nice.
Okay.
Um, so just to get back to that question,
Yeah.
when they tell me what it is that they want to work on,
Hmm.
I connect with their subconscious mind, and then the subconscious mind says, right, this area is what we need to start, and then it will also guide me if to use the emotion code, the body code, or the belief code. And sometimes, I mean, if I use the belief code, for example, then it's all three of them together. And then from the body code, I also have the emotion code within that. So it is a combination. And that takes an hour. The healing takes an hour. So in an hour, we can get so much released, which is very nice. It's nice because we never know what is subconsciously buried, or trapped inside of us. And when people see everything that we are releasing, it's astonishing and empowering.
Absolutely, yeah. So you can definitely see the power of the subconscious, because there may be things below the surface that we're not aware of on a conscious level, and you're helping to bring that up. And also, it sounds like there's tangible. People can feel tangible effects of the breaking down of this heart wall, which is amazing.
Yeah.
Just going back to the coaching, does it touch upon any elements of counselling or psychotherapy, or is it purely on the coaching side?
So that is an interesting one because people, when after the sessions, they always say, "Oh, it's a very interesting counseling or therapy approach that you're offering." But I didn't study to become a therapist or anything like that. I did the coaching training, which was a year long, so it was very it was intense. But my approach really is that I don't want to just look at the events. I don't just want to look at the trauma. I know that this is what is happening because to all of us because we go through life.
Mhm.
But I want to use whatever happened to us to empower where we are going. So it's really sometimes people come to me and they just want to talk about the story and the events and everything that happened and everything like that. But I already know that if they're just repeating these stories, then they have nowhere to go. And
Mhm.
that happened to me when I was in therapy some years ago. And I remember sitting there and bringing things up and then thinking, I have this huge pile of pain in front of me and I don't know what to do with it. So what do I do with it? And there were no tools and there was nowhere to go. And in the end, I consciously decided to just rebury all of it and said, you know what, I'll deal with it whenever. So in my coaching, what I want to do is to say, actually, we know that there was an event, for example, an event, of course, it's more than that. But I want to see, really, considering that the universe could have given us a billion different possibilities, my big question is how come this is what landed? How
Mhm.
come this is what is triggering me right now or back then or whatever? So really, how come? And this question of how come for me is the most important in everything that I do. So the question is, how come this happened for me? For is, I know that sometimes even more triggering for people, but eventually they will see that we don't ask why it happened to me because we are moving away from victimhood. It didn't happen to you, even if there was pain. It happened for you because it is here to teach you something that you were not able to see before, even if the event was terrible and traumatic and super painful. We know that there's these two layers. So basically, when we see why it happened for us, we're able to see exactly, very clearly, where we were operating from fears, from limitations, from not thinking that we were good enough, from not feeling that we had choices, and that other people were to blame or other people had a way to influence what was going on. So in these conversations together, we really unpacking all of this. We're untangling all these year-long stories, and we move away from the victimhood. We actually consciously say we are going to park the ego at the beginning of the conversation because we don't need the ego to interfere and say, yes, but they did this or they did that. they were only here, they're really only players that the universe put in our path to help us learn something. So really, how come this was the situation? Only because the universe knows that we are now ready for something that is bigger and better, and it helps us prepare for it. If we are stuck in stories and victimhood, we will never, find the path to move forward. And so all of these conversations, they're very empowering and very important in any conversation, whether people are suffering from chronic conditions, cancer, and so on, or if they're just feeling very stuck or lonely or miserable, because it helps them to see that actually they were catching on to something that actually is not helpful. It just keeps them very low and very unhappy. And now they get the invitation to start reflecting on things differently, really changing how they see things. And that's why it's really, it
Yeah.
is fascinating, these conversations.
So really, you're helping clients get to a point where they're shifting their perspective, which is affecting their reality from a change in beliefs, behavior, and then allowing them to really step forward in empowering themselves, and acknowledging that everything that's happening is happening for them rather than to them, and they're experiencing contrast. Or challenges, and seeing them as opportunities for growth so that they can learn from those patterns of behavior or limiting beliefs, and create the life that they're looking for. So it's very, very interesting, very similar to the type of work that I do, and I can really appreciate the amazing, profound impact that it can have on changing people's lives in quite significant ways. So that's a really important point, and thank you so much for sharing that. What I'd like to come to next is just, I think you might have mentioned anxiety, but would you be able to touch upon the types of conditions, physical or otherwise, that your healing and coaching can work with?
It actually has no limits on of what we can work with, because if we believe that actually because we are energy, and everything that happens in our way in our life really means that we are creating blockages into our energy, then we understand that going and fixing the physical body is secondary to what we can really do for ourselves. We really want to go into not the symptoms, but actually to the root cause, what is going on. And a lot of the time people, we're still not very good at having these conversations, that how trapped emotions influence what is happening in our bodies, or stress, or like these limiting beliefs that we really believe that we have no choice, and so on. So really, it doesn't matter what people are coming to me with, because we, first of all, we're going into that emotions and the stress. I'm always curious, I'm always asking, I'm always talking about what is happening in your life right now, what happened back then, what brought it on. And what people get out of all of this is really a question of how much they're willing to to go on that wavelength that says that we are all energy. And so basically what we're trying to say, if we are looking at it as energy, and we are looking at it as blockages in the energy field, we can see that every time we're going through emotional events or trauma that we're not processing, then the energy of these emotions, they become trapped in our body. Now every emotion, for example, has a size and a shape, and now you're carrying all of these. Now earlier when I said about the work that I do in the healing, and I release all of these things, I mean, I write down everything that I find, because it's too much to remember. And it can be pages and pages of things that we release in one session. And people are shocked. All of this is, I'm carrying all of these things. Yes, you are. And the reason why it is here is starting because of all of this is blockage. Everything is blockages. So when I speak with people, for example, anxiety. Okay, so anxiety, we're looking at where people are maybe hypervigilant. Maybe where are they operating from really being in the future all the time, worrying about things that haven't happened, and how they communicate with themselves. And slowly, there's so many different tools that they can use to kind of start jump the thinking process or feeling process. So this is one example. Other things, I was working with someone on psoriasis, for example, which it is very interesting because, of course, the doctors will say there is no cure. You have to, be as you are, or take these liver destroying tablets. And when someone tells me that, I all of my body goes like, like that. It's it's I feel sad. I feel sad when people think that they have no choice and they have to use these, things, when there is a choice. There is another way. I mean, after interviewing all the people for the cancer summit that we will talk about later on, and people talk about nutrition, for example, which is not something that I deal with, but it's just another thing that says, yes, we have options. We don't have to do this to ourselves. We don't have to take these tablets. But with going back to the psoriasis case, so we're looking at beliefs. We're looking at where did my client, where did she operate from, believing that she couldn't be herself. And of course, this goes back to childhood, when parents are not, we perceive that our parents don't treat us very well, or that they don't see us, or that we can't be who we're meant to be, and we constantly supposed to be holding this mask or persona of someone else that is being acceptable and appreciated and loved. So when we go through life with these kind of beliefs, at some point, because of all the stress and because of all these trapped emotions, something happens in the body. And in this case, because of the actual message, it happens as psoriasis. So with this specific woman, we really went into understanding where was she still operating from that past belief that she couldn't be herself, and where she was trying to please, and really canceling herself. And when we finished, it was 8 sessions. After she sent me a text, and she said that basically the psoriasis was 90% gone. And this is someone that has psoriasis from the age of 14, when bleeding skin and stuff. So this is really, it's like magic, really.
Yeah, yeah, amazing. Especially when you hear these different, experiences that people have and the effect that it's had. It's really profound. I just wanted to ask you. I know your main focus or area of interest is on chronic conditions. Is there anything that led you to that kind of that path to just to mainly focus on chronic conditions?
For me, it was really that demonstration that I've seen, at the very beginning. And I don't know why. I guess it's my path to the healing path that was awakened when I saw that demonstration. I didn't, at that time, I didn't specifically suffer from anything, but when I really understood that thing, that everything has an emotional root cause, and the body is just following suit, then I felt like I couldn't not have that conversation. Like I said about the tablets and stuff. I mean, yes, I get frustrated. I mean, even my mom, you know. So we lost my younger brother a couple of years ago, and of course, very emotional time. And so all of a sudden, she comes up and she said, "Oh, she started having psoriasis, in the body." And she went to the doctor, and she said, "Oh, the doctor gave me this, it was a huge pile of pills." And I was like, "You're not touching it. You are absolutely not touching it. It's not." I couldn't even no. Instead, I said, "Look, I have a friend. He's working with medicinal mushrooms. Go and see him, please. Go and see him, please. Do not touch these tablets." And she did. She went to see my friend. He gave her these mushrooms, and her psoriasis, all the itching, everything just disappeared. Now, you can see the difference, right? Because my client that I mentioned, she had psoriasis from childhood. I'm sure mushrooms would help there as well. I mean, I'm all for mushrooms. But with my mom, because it was so new, it was so raw. The mushrooms were able to really sort everything out very, very quickly. And the pile of pills, they're, still somewhere in the kitchen, and thankfully she didn't do anything with it. But uh,
Yeah.
there is a choice. There's always a
Yeah,
choice.
always a choice. And she was very lucky that you were there to advise, and that not everyone has that option, or that person reaching out and informing them. So, and there are a myriad of different types of healing and therapy, alternative complementary medicine out there. So how would you how would you think the best ways for people to find out about this, or to find out about the work that you're doing?
So for that, I have my podcast, Healing Conversations for Anything Chronic, and hopefully people after they came to have sessions with me, they can share as well. But I don't know. I've always had this idea that we can heal ourselves naturally. I believe in that so much. I'm not saying if I have pain that is lasting forever and is driving me nuts, I can take a pill. I'm not against that. I know that people also with vaccination and stuff, they have a big thing. That's not exactly what is that's not the bee in my bonnet. But for me, it's really is that thing of people. We are conditioned, and there's the white coat syndrome. So if the doctor said something, I believe it and I trust it, with everything, and I don't even question it.
Mhm.
Like yesterday, I was interviewing someone, and yes, the doctors are talking about statistics. But even if the statistics mean that 80% of people are not healing from it, or even 95% of people don't heal from it, there is still 5% that can heal from it. And why don't we say more often, hey, maybe I would be one of these 5%? So I want to, in these conversations, I want to say to people, don't believe blindly to any um, prediction, or I don't know what is the word, this kind of false promise that you're not going to heal, because no one knows. No one knows the future, right? And if you feel that you've not been here long enough, or you haven't done everything that you need, or actually that maybe there is something that you can do to help yourself, then do. Because the doctors might not be able to tell you about nutrition, and they might not be able to tell you about alternative therapies, and they might not be able to tell you about everything that is possible. But these possibilities are out there.
Absolutely, yeah, yeah. So it's really asking people to do their own research, follow their own heart, kind of reclaim their power to really just think for themselves in terms of, okay, I'm getting these different views. Does it resonate with me? Does it feel right? Are there alternative approaches, that might not have potentially side effects, or that I can heal in a different way? So it's really asking people to be open to different ideas, and access information from, it can be from multiple sources, and see what really feels right for them, because we will have this kind of inner knowing, of what's best for us. So
Exactly.
that's,
I'm not dissing, Western medicine, or I'm not saying don't ever listen to doctors. I'm really not saying that, because
mhm,
they have their place, and of course they're very helpful in many, many different ways. But really, I'm against this, blind following of verdicts. And yeah, get a second opinion, or really, because now you see there's two things, right? On the one hand, we have this blind belief in doctors and what they tell us, and then we also have this belief that anything alternative is woohoo, and actually should be really be scared of it. So there's two things kind of going a little bit against us. But we really do have to come here with open mind, because I'm thinking, if I have a choice between taking a pill that will ruin my liver versus doing some sessions of alternative healing, I want to try the healing first. I really do. I mean, okay, people come to me and they say, oh, can you guarantee the healing? And actually I can't, because every person is different. And people, sometimes the healing is happening in layers that you don't necessarily see immediately. So you need to even try alternative healing. There's different modalities that might work for you. But when you open your mind, you will find the right thing for you.
Absolutely. So we have. I know. You'll talk a bit later about your the online summit that's coming up next week. But there is complementary medicine, which you can have alongside your prescribed medication from your doctor. You can talk to your doctor. They may be open about, um, you know, uh, other types of complementary alternative medicine, so that they need to be aware of other things that you're taking. But it's definitely worth having that conversation with them, and doing some research yourself. So I want to ask. I know you've written a book, an ebook called "Embracing Vulnerability, Empowering Change," and it's really interesting. You talk about conditioning as public enemy number one. You talk about purpose, meaning, embracing change. It's very interesting, and encourage people to read that. Did you just want to tell us a bit more how that ebook came about and its purpose?
The, this ebook is really everything that I say to people in my coaching all the time. I always start every conversation that I have with clients telling them or bringing us onto the same page. I'm sure I'm not the first one to say it, or maybe they've heard it before, but I always say that really we have two voices inside of us, right? We have the unconscious mind. This is like the soul. It knows everything. It knows where we came, where we've been. It knows where we're going, and it has the blueprint of our best version, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. And so we have this vast, incredible thing that knows everything about us, and is constantly trying to steer us in the right direction, because it knows what is right for us and meant for us, and what will be helpful for us to get back into that version. So the unconscious mind is the realm of emotions and feelings and creativity and really expansion and flow. And then on the other hand, we have the conscious mind, which is everything that is realistic and makes sense and logical, and everything that is fairly rigid, but it's also the house of this negative voice. And the negative voice equals fears. That's really everything that I talk about. It's my passion, I guess.
Yes.
And
And,
yeah, sorry.
and how do you recommend people to kind of tap more into the knowledge and the insights from their subconscious? Are there any ways that you recommend?
Yeah, exactly. But I just want to finish that
Okay.
thought. With the negative voice, the thing is that the negative voice has only one job, and it
Mm-hmm.
is to make us do today exactly what we've done yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, it says, I can't preserve you. If you come up with something that I've never seen before, I don't know if I can preserve you. So I'm going to say no. Now imagine that here you are trying to do something that is, beneficial for you. Like, say, for example, you're going to say, I'm going to do sugar detox, something small and simple, and
Mm-hmm.
see immediately what comes up, with your negative voice telling you all the reasons why this is the worst idea in the world. And it's not that it actually knows that this is the worst idea in the world, but it just says, actually, what will happen? I can't protect you. I have no idea what's going to happen. So I need to keep you away from doing it. So I'm going to tell you that you'll never manage. And what will you do without sugar? And what about your, I don't know, favorite cereal or whatever, whatever. And after, very soon, actually, you will come up with the idea, do you know what? Maybe I won't do it now. Maybe I'll do it later. Or, maybe it wasn't such a good idea after all. So basically, what happens is that the negative voice is very loud. It doesn't know anything about us. It tells us lies, and we believe the lies because they match our fears. So it's kind of a loop. So here we are. We have this incredible invitation from our unconscious mind to do something, and yet we get stopped by the negative voices that tell us absolutely don't do it. So
Mm-hmm.
it's a massive clash. So the first thing I help people see is that when we listen to our unconscious mind, there is that innate knowing that this is the right thing for us. So yes, there are some fears, because fears are actually, they are helpful, but they're not. In this case, when you listen to the unconscious mind, the fears are not enough to stop us from doing anything. So if, for example, I asked them to imagine a job that they had, that they knew that it had a lot of good things in it, but they had this knowing that this was not the job for them,
Mm-hmm.
right? So most people have had some
Yeah.
examples like this in life, And then they say, okay, so I remember that. I remember, yes, I was nervous. Yes, there was some doubts, but there
Mhm.
was something inside of me that said, actually, trust me, something better is coming. It's just around the corner. You just need to get started by moving from this old job. So when we listen to the unconscious mind, it's very much it's expansion. It's knowing that this is the right thing to do. And when we listen to the negative voice, it's a feeling of constriction, of fears, of not knowing and doubting and insecurity and stuff like that. So I'm asking people to find out how they feel. Is it expansion or is it constriction? Also, where is it that they are feeling these things? Sometimes when we listen to the unconscious mind, maybe it's in our guts, because listening to our guts. And sometimes the fears, maybe it's around the head, maybe the neck, like, or maybe sometimes it's like the heart is actually, you know don't do it. It gets ready to shrink. But even this little story that I share with people is very important. So when I wrote this book, the ebook, I really wanted people to have very similar experience to what we have in the coaching part, because it invites them to really recognize where in their lives they're operating from the wrong voice. Now, when I always say that I'm the number one person to admit that I give the negative voice a very bad rep, and but I want to say that actually, when you're ready to it or for it, the negative voice, the fears that come up, they're very important to listen to. Because if I'm about to do something and I feel this fear, and normally I would feel the fear and then not do it, in here we have this invitation to say, actually, what is scaring me about all of this? And if we are really parking the ego, which is something that I like to do a lot with people, when we park the ego, we are able to see that I'm maybe scared because I haven't done it enough, or maybe because maybe I need to go into town and I'm not exactly sure where I need to get off the bus, for example. So all of these little fears, they are there, they are blind. We don't really know what they are, but we just feel the fear. But when we shine the light on them, we say, okay, so I need to maybe plan better my journey, or maybe I need to leave a little bit earlier. So the fears are important because they are guiding us to something. But what I really want to say is, don't let the fears stop you. Don't let them keep you in your comfort zone, because nothing good has ever happened, in the comfort zone.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's really valuable information for people. Just we're really kind of inviting people to acknowledge their emotions, their feelings. What does this really mean for them? And it's a way of an indicator, almost, isn't it? So, and it's increasing our levels of self-awareness as well. And so that's really, really valuable. And thank you for sharing that.
It just reminded me that when I was young, there was one dentist that he had this idea that he as soon as you would sit in the dentist chair, he would give you a mirror. And he said that he found that if there was no mirror, you would listen to the voices and the noises, not voices, the noises of all the machines and the equipment, and you would really imagine the worst. But when you could see what he was doing, actually the fear went away. And I guess this is very similar.
Yeah, so it's a lot of these kind of imagined worst case scenarios that are kind of leading into this fear, when it in actuality that there isn't anything to fear there. So thank you. And could you tell us a bit more about some of your other offerings? I know you offer some short courses as well. Did you want to mention about those?
Yeah, of course. There are some courses on both of my websites, actually, but they are the ones that help to get into empowerment, to get into confidence, really by understanding, for example, where we are operating from the negative voice versus the unconscious mind. There's some courses about procrastination, for example, because I really believe that people a lot of the time come from the wrong mindset, thinking, "Oh, I'm just lazy," and not appreciating that maybe there's other ways or other reasons why they're not doing what they really want to do. I think that like there's so there's something about procrastinations. There's about five steps to a confident you. That's a free course actually on my coaching site. There's how to deal with anxiety, how to get a better mindset or to shift your mindset into something more positive. There's lots of stuff there.
That's great. So I'd really encourage people to have a look at the website, see what resonates with them. And before we finish, I'd really love to hear a bit more about next week's online summit on natural cancer healing. And very excited. There's over 40 speakers, and Einav will share more about it. And I have the opportunity to be one of the speakers there, where I talk about the power of sound healing and energy healing, with regards to cancer and other conditions. So this is from the 21st to the 25th of January. There is information about this summit on my recent newsletter and also on my social media platforms. But I'm going to pass it to Einav to go into a bit more detail about what information is available and the benefits of joining the summit.
Thank you. Thank you for mentioning it. So the first thing I guess that I should say is that, yes, the summit is from the 21st to the 25th of January. The people who register, they get lifetime access, so they can, indulge in this, in the interviews in their own pace, however they want to do that. So there's no real pressure. The only reason why it's on 5 days is that every day I release 9 new speakers. But going back to the summit, I had this idea that I wanted to do the summit, and I wanted to do it, to help people to talk about cancer. Mostly, I guess, because I realized that when someone said cancer to me, I immediately and very, subconsciously went into some sort of freeze mode, and I didn't want to touch it. I was scared. Of course, my older brother passed away from cancer 14 years ago, nearly 15 years ago now, and he died. So that didn't help the belief that people don't have to die from cancer. And so that was this kind of blockage in my mind about cancer. But then I had a client with cancer, and she didn't come to me to heal cancer. She came to me to look at her emotions and her emotional state. And then she would send me an email the day after the session, and she would say she had breast cancer, and she said the color of the cancer basically changed, from dark purple to light pink, and some of the nodules were not sticking out as much, and it was a beautiful reminder to me, really, that I am approaching it all wrong. I'm really approaching it from fear, and actually, I can just choose my methods and beliefs anyway, and it works perfectly. Then I understood that people with cancer also are more ready to hear a lot of the things that I'm saying, because they're ready for it. They're now knowing that they've already been through understanding that cancer is not just the symptom. It's actually, there is a root cause somewhere, and the things that I speak about really make sense. And so I thought it would be a wonderful opportunity to bring together some speakers and see what it is that we can highlight, and how maybe really change how people look at cancer. So I initially thought there might be about 15 or 20 speakers, but it was incredible, because as soon as I said I'm putting up this summit, I think immediately I had about 35 people, and then the other 10 joined very soon afterwards. And I looked at the 45 people, and I was like, is that too much? Because 45 is a lot of people. But I realized that every person that came to the summit, every speaker, is bringing something very unique. And people, there are elements that are kind of similar, like nutrition or stress, but every person is bringing something else. So any person watching the summit will be able to connect with something that speaks to them. Now, people don't have to watch all the interviews. They can really mix and match and feel into what is the first one that they might want to look at. But the information and the experience and the advice and the stories and the wisdom that people bring, it is so inspiring and so empowering. And for me, I completely changed how I look at cancer. And I say, you know, I don't tell you what to do. You know, if you decide to go conventional methods, do that. I'm really not telling you what to do, but I want to empower you to know or to think or to get better understanding of what is possible, so that you can make these informed decisions uh, in time. You know, a lot of people that, for example, have been through chemotherapy are saying the same things. It caused havoc in my body. And again, some people, that is exactly the right thing to do. Other people, maybe not yet. And for other, like you mentioned in your talk, there is a way to combine both. So really, we're not coming from preaching or trying to convince people to do anything. But I was thinking that if I was going through cancer journey, then I would love to have this kind of a place that I could go and already tune into other people's experiences and wisdom. Because only 45 speakers, you can already really see that there's some things that people are saying that are really breaking our limiting beliefs around cancer, how we can heal, or can we even heal, and so on. So the summit, I don't know. The more I think about it, the more I think it's mind blowing. Like, really, it's incredible speakers, incredible. Bringing into the surface the years and years of working with people and research and finding things. So I really do hope that people move past the 45 speakers and connect with this gift. It is a huge gift for people. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And it's amazing that this is available. And there's only a few days left. So if you haven't already signed up, I will be, when I send this out, there will be links to join, either through my platform or Einav's. And there's a wealth of information available, whether you're in your cancer healing journey, or if you have a loved one that's been affected by cancer, or just for general interest. It's the statistics. I think it's 1 in 2, susceptible to cancer. So it does affect everyone in some way, whether through a loved one or in some other way. So it's interesting information, a wealth of knowledge. So we'll share the information for you to join. I'll also be sharing Einav's websites and social media links to her Facebook and Instagram. So feel free to join via those links. So before we close, are there any final thoughts, observations, or comments you want to make about anything really, your work, what your kind of key message is to the viewers today, and to those that will watch the recording? What is the key message that you'd like to leave people with?
I guess the key message for me is that we tend to believe that we are who we are today. But actually, if we look into it, then a lot of who we are today is a combination of conditionings, how we were brought up, our family or society or community beliefs. Maybe there's a lot of fears, a lot of limitations, a lot of compromises, and actually, we can lead a whole life believing that this is who we are. But when we allow ourselves to question that and say, actually, if I how come I have these dreams of something different, bigger, better? If I have these dreams, it means that I'm not actually operating from my true self, from my alignment and harmony. And, I do recommend that people go on this journey, whether they are going through chronic conditions or cancer or not. When we allow ourselves to learn about ourselves and to really try and find our true selves, or where what we meant to be or do in this life, this is why we're here. We are here for a reason. The reason is not to suffer and struggle, but if we are, it just means that there is a message that our bodies is trying to give us and say, hey, I need to redirect you. You're on the wrong trajectory, so listen to the message, and with this message you will find your true path and your alignment and your harmony, and you likely get healthy too, because I truly believe that ill health is just a message, is not really the be all and end all and all of that. And yes, have a conversation. It's actually a wonderful gift that you can give to yourself. So that is my message.
Thank you so much, and thank you for that powerful, those powerful messages of just the importance of listening to our body, learning kind of levels of self-awareness and alignment, and we're naturally meant to thrive, so and not not suffer and be in pain or disease. So these are all very important messages, and myself and Einav very much in alignment with the type of work that we do. I also do kind of soul plan reader practitioner courses, teaching you how to come into alignment with your soul plan, your reason for being here, and the energies that you've come in with. So we're both very much in alignment in the type of work that we're doing. So feel free to visit both of our websites. And as I said, exciting news is the online summit next week. So don't miss out, sign up if you can. And thank you for listening. And thank you so much, Einav, for your time today and for sharing your wisdom and insights with all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Anita. It was wonderful to be here with you today. Thank you.
Yeah.